We are having a little. Hey everybody, happy Thursday. This is Camille Essex, host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe. We have some great conversation coming in tonight. Before we get into anything, Father's Day is coming up. If you know and follow GBM Official on Instagram, our Father's Day sale just kicked off today. You can use the coupon code FATHER. That way you can save 20% at the checkout. That is FATHER. That sale will be going on until Thursday. Also, be sure to follow me also on Instagram at Camille.Essex and also on YouTube. Just hit that notification bell and subscribe. If you're not sharing, shame on you, because this is a conversation you don't want to miss, and you definitely want to share this conversation. Hey, Angela, thank you for tuning in. With that being said, he is not a stranger to the show. We connected offline, I think during the pandemic, during the days of the coronavirus, and he was on and dropped mini gems. His return is long overdue, and I'm looking to have him back more often in the next season. But it is a D9 edition. He's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, so it is nothing but Indiana love tonight. My brother, Coach Ev, aka Evan Brown, thank you for coming back.
Oh, thank you for having me. One of the things that I love is running my mouth in a constructive way. This is it. So I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to talk, laugh, whatever happens. We're just gonna roll with it.
You're welcome so much. And those who are not familiar with who you are, what you do, which if they don't know, I don't know where they've been, but let the viewers and listeners know a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Okay, so my name is Evan Brown, but I go by Coach Ev. That's like my persona.
Your moniker, yes.
Yeah, I am a brand and business strategist. I've been doing this for about 7.5 years, and I've been blessed to work with personal brands, nonprofits, religious organizations, government agencies, really just helping people expand their digital reach. That's what I do. I help people expand their digital reach. Sometimes that digital reach is through marketing and strategy. Sometimes it's through publishing a book. Sometimes it's through graphic design. Sometimes it's through training and developing business owners to shift from small business owner to CEO. I guess a mixture of it all. In essence, my purpose is to help people become their best self for the season that they're in. So that's what I do. And if you need more information, it's all the same, Coach Ev. If you Google me, it actually shows up, Coach Ev.
Okay, Googleable. All right now.
I'm pretty thrilled about that, actually.
Awesome. Hey, Regina. Hey, Angela. So I have so many things I want to dig into. First of all, kudos, congratulations on the Pivot with Therapy. Tell us a little bit about that.
Last year life took a turn. I came home to Atlanta for a weekend or 2 weeks, and I never left. Mm-hmm. And I found myself doing quite a few things that I never thought I would do. By day, I work for Atlanta Public Schools in the space of education. Never thought I saw that coming. I'm not a teacher or do marketing, but same thing basically, because it's all one space. And also by night, I am a partner in an amazing experience called Therapy Lounge Atlanta. Okay. We are a full service restaurant, bar, hookah lounge, study lounge, whatever you need us to be, we are that. And so if you're in Atlanta, pull up on us. If you come between 12 and 5, bring your laptops, bring your notes, bring your resources to study. But if you're coming after work, come on in, have a good time, invite your girls, invite your guys, and just kind of come kick it for a little while.
Yes, I just love how you've had a vision for it, and it's a multifaceted space. It's not
Yeah.
just like you said, a day workspace, but it's transitional, so it can take you from work to play.
Absolutely. And we've had events, we've had corporate parties, we've had birthday parties, we've had engagement parties. Like it's a space that I believe that everything in life is multifaceted, and it should be multifaceted. And you should be able to use one thing in a couple different ways to generate income, but also, for whatever the endeavor it may be. But you should be able to use it more than one way.
Awesome. And do you all have an Instagram page?
Yeah, you can hit follow me. It's Coach Ev, and you can just hit the therapy in my bio. But ITSCOACHEV, but if not, just therapy lounge ATL, and it's turquoise and black, so it'll pop up. You can't miss it.
Awesome. One of the things here, as far as when I started the speaker podcast, initially it was a space for Black women.
Mm-hmm.
But then I noticed there was a gap for our brothers.
Oh, yeah.
And it just seems like with our Black women, we have all these girl boss brunches, and we have so many spaces for us to communicate and to connect. However, there was a gap. And that's one of the reasons why I started Good Black Men on Instagram, again, to promote mental health and spaces for brothers to communicate. People are like, well, Camille, you're not a man, clearly. So why did you do it? But I saw the need, and I felt like a woman, that shouldn't prevent me from meeting a need of brothers that I love. I love y'all. Y'all are awesome. So
we love you too.
Beautiful. God knew what he was doing. So my thing is, as far as the importance of creating a space for our brothers to communicate, it just cannot be overstated. And I also believe it's essential for you all to have an environment where you can openly and honestly discuss your experiences without the fear of judgment or criticism. So in that, Evan, I do want to hop into the conversation as far as one of the things that Black men are dealing with out here, the pressure of showing up, or as I call performance exhaustion. Can you kind of tap into that as for the brothers?
First of all, I love the verbiage you use to define that, because that's really what it is, performance exhaustion. As a Black man, as a young Black man who is trying his best to be progressive and to leave my mark in the world, it is pressure on every side. Ironically enough, I texted my sister this morning on the way to work, and I was like, I'm feeling a lot of pressure. I started crying on the way to work. I hadn't even had my coffee. And, she was like, honestly, it comes along with the journey of life. She said a few other things, but I'm not going to share that part.
No.
But it really is a thing, as a Black man, for those who are parents, for those who are husbands, for those who have to show up for other people every single day. It's kind of like, your life is, I don't want to say it's not your own, because it is, but your priorities require you to always show up as your best self. And it's a great thing to do. But on the flip side of that, I think it's a little unrealistic, the pressure that Black men have allowed to be placed on us, and the pressure that we've tried our best to live up to for years, because we've seen it generationally. I grew up in a household where my dad was a phenomenal father, amazing provider. But in the midst of him creating provision, his presence was missed in some areas. Mm-hmm. So there's some wonderful memories that I have that my dad wasn't there because my dad was possibly working or out of town for work or different things like that. But pressure said, I've got to give my kids the world, not really realizing that sometimes we may have wanted or desired a little less of giving us the world, but sometimes your presence. But pressure is communicated to Black men in so many different ways. But that's one for sure, having to show up to be what everybody needs us to be. And of course, it comes with manhood. It comes with the responsibility of being a man, but we're not going to act like it's not hard and that sometimes it's impossible, because, we go through pain. We feel things as well. And unfortunately, because we don't often have these safe spaces like you've created, we don't have an outlet to say, hey, I am struggling here. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to keep it together for your family, for your kids, or for, your extended family, because you're the one that's making the money. So you're taking care of everybody. So it's like, it's pressure everywhere, but there's no place to release that pressure. Now, of course, like if you're smart, we've got like some personal outlets like the gym and different things like that allow us to blow off some steam, but the pressure is pretty consistent. I'm trying to make sure I use the right words here. The pressure is pretty consistent. We are always trying to find a way to manage it. And if I'm honest, the way that we manage pressure most of the time is unhealthy. And nobody really wants to identify or just kind of step up and say, you know what, as a man, I've got some unhealthy habits, but it's not because I'm reckless or I'm wild or I want this promiscuous life. Sometimes it's just because I don't know what to do with the pressure that I'm feeling every single day.
Mm-hmm. So you said a lot. I really want to dig into this conversation. Hey, Dr. Matisa. Hey, Antoine. I call it like silent killers, right? Because we
Yes.
create this type of space for our brothers to address those silent killers, impact your performance, right? And you have these issues, what you touched on, like the stress, the anxiety, the depression, the emotional exhaustion, and it also can enable you to build, like meaningful connections
Yeah.
with each other and those challenges that you go through on a day-to-day basis. So, Ev, can you, like, you touched on the crying, the fact that you even admitted it, because most Black men wouldn't even said, "Oh man, I cried," because of the stigma of showing emotion. So can you kind of unpack that just a little bit more?
Yeah. Going to therapy helped me to and not therapy, the lounge, but an actual therapist, helped me to see that it is okay for me to embrace the emotions that I have, because God gave them to me, but God gave them to me for me to steward and to control them. But the only way that you can come into a place of good stewardship and a healthy control is to be okay with the fact that, you know what, I feel this. I am feeling weird. I am feeling iffy. I am feeling overwhelmed and or stressed, and smoking the blunt, making a drink is not going to help me at 8:30 on the way to work.
Wow.
So I had to say, you know what, let me just be okay. I took a journey over the last year, really just kind of being okay with where I am. And also learning how to not put additional pressure on myself, because I say it all the time, the world puts enough pressure on us, but then that pressure that we add onto ourselves is so difficult. But it takes a true journey into manhood to recognize, hey, you know what? I can still be an awesome provider, an awesome parent, an awesome husband and or wife, or whatever, maybe an awesome career man, in the midst of me being okay with, hey, I don't feel my best today, or I don't feel it today, whatever your it may be. But I think it's just kind of taking a journey of awareness, like just being okay with saying, you know what, I'm not perfect. And Black men unintentionally feel this pressure to be perfect, just like Black women feel it. But it just shows up differently. But it's like, you got to say, hey, you know what, I'm not perfect, and neither is the next man, neither is the next woman. They're all dealing with their pressures in one way or another, and it's okay for me to embrace mine, because once you embrace it, now you're able to do something with it. I've turned some of the pressure, some points in my life, into wonderful things, and I'm glad about it. But I had to be okay with acknowledging I'm feeling a lot of stuff. I'm okay with writing stuff into a journal. Now, it's not a journal with a pink bow on the front. Mine is a composition notebook, like old school that we grew up with, but it works for me to get that stuff off of me, so I'm not walking around navigating through 80,000 things in my mind, in addition to trying to still be who I'm supposed to be every day in the earth.
So you touched on one thing, and I want to hit on the societal labels or constructs of our brothers today. And I think a lot of that is still an issue to a degree, as far as being able to open up and talk about, hey, I went to therapy, or hey, I cried today, or hey, I wrote in my journal. And it's not an attack on who you are as a man, your masculinity, or your orientation. So Evan, can you kind of dig that out a little bit more for us, please?
Yeah, you know what? I think that at some point in life, a man will hit that crossroad or hit that wall where he says, you know what, I've got to do something a little differently than what I've done before. And that's where I hit. I recognize, hey, you know what, I have worked through pain. And I'm not talking about like work through, like whatever. I'm talking about actually, like, I made money in the midst of painful moments, and money became like my Band-Aid. That's not dealing with stuff.
So
That's
that would men dig into performance, like to compensate, they dig into
absolutely.
Okay.
I personally believe, I won't say it like that. There are a lot of men who are very successful professionally, and we are broken outside of work. We don't really know our left from our work, our right outside of, like, when it comes to making money. And because we are in a very money hungry or money driven society, you can just about mask anything with money, and nobody will recognize, or they'll never think twice about it. I've got some really good friends, some really solid homeboys who are very wealthy, and I'm probably the only one that can recognize, oh, there's some pain happening right there. Mixed, of course, that comes with a little bit of the Holy Ghost and a little bit of just kind of being able to be aware and I pay attention. But it's like, hey, you know what? Getting another degree. I know there's a joke, there's a running joke that says when Black women get bored, they go get another degree. Well, Black men are kind of following that same standpoint as well. So, hey, let me start another business. Let me find another way to do this, whatever. Or we overspend.
That's a barber window shopping right now for another program. Because I'm bored.
Yeah, and that's really what happens, and of course, like, that's a great add-on to your life, but what's the root of that? Is it trauma? Because it probably is. A desire for validation, as if those degrees on the wall are going to be the only thing that validates you in life.
Ooh, this is why you're here. I love you, man. Oh my gosh, this is so good. So when we're looking at the brothers as far as going through these changes,
Mm-hmm.
um, can you kind of tap into the power of routine and consistency when you are seeking a better space emotionally, unpacking all these feelings as far as the stress, the anxiety, the trauma, emotional exhaustion, the performance exhaustion?
Mm-hmm.
Where does routine and consistency fit into this to where you kind of open a door and say, hey, this is an out for me, where I can kind of shift my narrative in my mind?
Wow, okay. So that's a really good question. I shared something the other day with a friend trying to give some advice, and I was like, it's about taking this journey. It starts off at inspiration, and then you go from inspiration to consistency, and then you go into from consistency to discipline, and then from discipline to a routine. We're just talking about some ways to help him alleviate some of the pressure that he's just recently got laid off, trying to figure out what's next. But I think the key for men being successful is, it's going to sound really crazy, but it's movement. A lot of the things that can be helped and can be alleviated in the mind only come with physical activity. And I know that may sound kind of weird or strange, but I don't think Black men move enough. We've got a conglomerate of Black men who are like gym heads, right? Then we got another conglomerate of Black men, the other half, that don't have any kind of movement. And I've seen a correlation of the change in my life when I've chosen to be consistent with moving and physical activity of some kind. I'm not saying you got to go lift weights, but taking a walk, these different things like that, I started to notice a difference and a shift in where I was mentally and also what I felt like I was carrying. Like I live in a part of Atlanta, kind of quiet, but there's a trail not too far. But when I walk, I actually feel like I'm releasing something, and I'm not trying to release anything. When I hit that hill and start sprinting, it's almost like I'm running some stuff off. And it really just changes how you feel in that moment, but it gives you the space to be able to look at your situations a little differently. And I think that's kind of the space that we got to find a way, or find the awareness to connect the two, because it really is sometimes just as simple as you doing something a little different. I'm a firm believer in this. You won't always be inspired. I mean, and you cannot look at inspiration to be the catalyst or the fuel to drive the car. You got to look at, hey, I want the result. That's the only thing. The result is what will make you get up at 6 a.m. The result is the one thing that make you change maybe some of your eating habits. The result will actually be the thing that makes you pick up a book instead of watching another TV show, because you're saying, you know what, where my life is right now, I'm the only one that can change it, but I can change it by getting the information. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's really good. You were talking, and I just started thinking and going back to something you said before, and I thought about how, we know a lot of successful Black men, and they're getting the bag, they're getting the money, they have all these connections. And I just kind of wanted you to dig a little deeper into how that's like a coping mechanism to the applause, as far as wanting to feel validated. Is it like that little boy that wants to be seen, or like, well, what is that? And then what can our brothers do to kind of not to stop achieving or excelling, but finding another way outside of just getting money.
Yeah, I love that you brought up, like, is it a little boy trying to be seen? I actually don't think so. My caveat or my outlook it is really like from this. It is a man trying to earn respect in a world that doesn't naturally respect him. So everything that we do sometimes can be rooted in what makes, we can language, I guess, for context wise, we can say applause, but it really is like we're fighting for respect in a world that doesn't respect us. It's never, especially if you're in America, it's never respected us. So it's like everything that we do, it is for the validation or really just trying to earn the respect of other people. But all of that stuff starts internally. And I'm gonna be honest with you, sometimes you just gotta be willing to let men live it out, because eventually they're gonna have that Damascus Road experience where they recognize, hey, you know what? I've been doing this, but I probably have not been doing this the absolute best. And that's the unfortunate part, I guess you can say, about the journey into manhood, is that sometimes you really got to hit your head against the wall for you to wake up. Because some of the stuff that I've experienced, my mom is giving me the blueprint to turn from, like, don't do that. My dad has told me don't do that. And guess what I did?
You did it.
Did it. But what I learned in that moment has been transformative for my life. So, and even though I know that sounds kind of like, we want to help people avoid a lot of mistakes, especially in this thing called life. But sometimes, especially when it comes to internal male perspective or internal manhood things, sometimes you just got to let the inevitable happen, because unfortunately that is when we learn best, or that is when our lessons stick. I know that's tough, but it's the reality. When I've hurt myself, when I've bumped into something, when I felt the pain of a thing, that's when it's waking me up, and not the books, not the sermons, not the prayer meetings, not the advice from my trusted mentors. It took me getting there and then saying, hey, you know what, this really isn't it. Let me make some adjustments.
That's really good. So going further into this, Evan, first of all, thank you for taking the time to join me. And if you haven't done so, you all, please like, comment, share. I'm sitting down, we're talking with Coach Ev. So the next question I have for you, Ev, is in these spaces of conversation, doing this without fear or the stigma that is attached to it, what are some other things brothers can do for each other to be a safe space, a safe landing space or landing pad for each other?
Oh, the first thing I would definitely say is we don't ask, as a Black man, we don't typically ask our inner circles the right questions or enough questions. I'll start off with just enough questions, because everybody is, managing or navigating parenthood or relationships or sometimes career shifts. And so honestly, because we are all in the same fight, feeling the same pressure, we're not really thinking, let me just ask, hey, bro, are you good? Are you sure you're good? Okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm good about that because I've been on this journey. So I'll ask my friends in a heartbeat, hey, I feel like something's not right. What's going on? And, I'm just got work going on. Kids, and say, okay, but what is that? What is that signifying to you? How is that showing up in your life? But that's only because of the journey of where I've been. But I would encourage any man just to ask your friends more questions. Because sometimes, hey, bro, how you doing? Oh, I'm cool, man. I'm good. That I'm good is not enough. Like, because of my directness with my friendships and my brotherhoods, they expect me when I go on a digging trail. So he's about to ask 30,000 questions. Let me just tell him the first time.
Wow, bro.
Alone. But everybody needs a friend that is like that. I'm a firm believer in this. Every man has a friend that is like that. But sometimes those friends don't feel they have the permission to dig into their brothers the way they desire to. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes that can help avoid some of the stuff that could be avoidable. But sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? Just let somebody know. I don't have an answer. I don't even understand because I'm in the same predicament, but just know that you're not alone. But that comes with intentional and consistent question asking, I guess you can say is the best term.
That's good. I've seen a rise, or we collectively have seen a rise in suicide and depression in our brothers because this topic has been taboo, particularly in the church, since the beginning. And here we're in this community, we're the space now where I think it was Charlemagne, and he said, we're the first generation that's been able to explore healing.
Yes.
Because those before us were so focused on other things, social justice.
Yes.
And things in the community.
Providing.
It wasn't even a thought. It was like, here, I got to keep the lights on. I got to pay the light, So can you kind of unpack that? Like, now that we have the freedom, the autonomy to explore healing, what is maybe the first step that brothers should take?
Well, I agree with Charlemagne the God. We are our ancestors' wildest dream, and we are the first generation that has a chance to embrace being better. I agree. Our parents, our grandparents didn't quite have that opportunity because of the other distractions or the other things that are going on in culture and in the world. But I think the first thing that we have to do is I accept the fact that I'm not perfect. Like, it's not enough money. Somebody can give me $30 million right now, and guess what? I would still be imperfect. I'll be rich, but I would be a little imperfect. And I know that's a hard thing because go back to the question of pressure. Like, Black men are pushed to succeed in one way or another, and sometimes we'll go to drastic measures to succeed. But I think it's a lack of awareness, a lack of willingness, or a lack of possibly sometimes your community to say, hey, I'm not at my best yet, or I'm not at my best in this moment in time, and it's okay. But it takes you to be okay with knowing, hey, you know what? I'm not perfect. All of my stuff is not together right now. And that's hard for a man, not to just to say, but to stomach. As a Black man who believes in therapy, I got close homeboys that need it that ain't did it yet, and it's not that they don't see the examples around, but it's just kind of
attached to that?
Yeah, it's the fact that, when you sit down with somebody, you're acknowledging in that moment. When you book that appointment, pay that copay, sit on that couch, or log into that Zoom, at that moment, you are instantly acknowledging that I am not as good as I think I am.
So that's
And
pride.
that's
pride.
it. I mean, it's a pride thing for sure.
Okay.
But it's one of the and I hate to say it like this. I won't say that. Let me script that. It is pride. It is pride, and it's one of those things where it'll happen in time, but you just got to let a man see for himself to a certain degree.
That's good. I think having these conversations, and we hear the term representation matters, but it
Mhm.
really does. And having you here to have this conversation, I think is important because I think when brothers hear themselves through you,
Mhm.
then it's like, oh, it's not just me.
Absolutely. I'll believe is I think it'll change and shift drastically when our role models and our favorite athletes and our favorite rappers start to talk about their personal healing journeys.
Mhm.
But that's not profitable. That's not entertaining or exciting. So they're not going to do that. So guess what? It delays an entire generation of people that need it because the voices they hear the most are not talking about it. There are some pastors that I absolutely think are phenomenal people, and they will preach and mention everything besides go see a therapist. And unfortunately,
Break it down because I believe you can have Jesus and a therapist.
I do. I haven't. I actually have both. But you know, the influential voices in our lives sometimes are not saying those things or not even just mentioning it. So therefore, we have a generation of people that don't think that it's a need for both. And it honestly, it is. It legitimately is. Because one thing I do believe this, and it could be argued, but I believe that medicine is God's mercy in the earth. And as somebody that has a healing ministry, like it's you can't convince me otherwise. And also do believe that intellect is heaven gave intellect, right? And that's why we see generation to generation intellect rises. The things that kids now know how to do at 5 and 6, we were learning at 15, 16. So intellect is being raised generation by generation, and it's God's doing. But think when you consider that, it's like, hey, you know, okay, these are things are changing. Then the people that these people are listening to are not saying or mentioning what they need. How are they going to end up in those spaces?
Yeah, it's an ongoing conversation. It's so layered, and I've said this before, and I love the ministry I'm under, and my
Mhm.
pastor and the staff, the elders. Everyone is great, but coming out of other churches or growing up through other churches, that generation they were not trained in mental health or
Mhm.
counseling,
Yeah,
and they did the best they could, but
absolutely.
I've seen times where they said things and it actually drove someone deeper into what they were in or triggered them because you're using a lot of cliches from the
Mhm.
street. And I'm like, that's not applicable to where I am right now. I know you mean well,
Mhm.
but it was like needing something else. And I'm like, this isn't it. And so, and I'm speaking for myself personally, when I started therapy, I air quotes had to go outside the church walls to find a space where I could speak freely and not feel what I was saying was demonized or anti-faith
Mhm.
or judged, if I can use that word.
Mhm.
But also because at that time, still is to a standpoint, it was taboo to say
Yeah.
I'm going to a therapist, and so because of not being shamed or your faith isn't strong enough or you're not praying hard enough, and my salvation, my relation with God being questioned, I was sneaking off having therapy sessions.
And it's like, should I have to sneak to get another level of healing?
Right.
No. And I don't want to make this conversation about the church, but
No,
as a
no, but
byproduct of one,
that's my truth.
yeah, no, no, absolutely, and I support it as a byproduct of one. I actually said to myself, I would not join another church that did not have a counseling department because the issues that people are facing day by day. I'm sorry, I'm for the praise break. I'm for the revivals. I'm actually for all of it, but we've got to be a resource to people. And if we're not going to be a total resource or all-inclusive resource, then that we can be, because there are therapists, there are licensed social workers, there are people that are sitting in our pews, chairs every week who have the credentials to be able to help our people a little bit further past, like, those awesome Sunday and Wednesday teachings. But I don't think that we're pulling on it. And there's no excuse now because the need is there. And man, this stuff's getting worse, worse and worse and worse. We have schools that have more therapists than churches. And I know because I'm in education.
Wow. Yeah, I love where I am now because we do have those resources now.
Yes.
but I'm under a healthy ministry. So now I'm getting the biblical application
Mhm,
on top of, and I can put it together. And now it's very
mhm.
cohesive. Everything is flowing. But I just feel like these are conversations we need to continue to have, and also not just to make it always about the sisters, but conversations such as this where we're bringing the brothers in as well. Because I feel like if our men are healthy, our community is healthy, our families are
Absolutely,
healthy.
wholeheartedly,
It's a pyramid. It's a trickle down. So
wholeheartedly.
that's really good. As we begin to wrap up, or do you have any like
Oh, man, it's over
nuggets?
already?
It goes fast.
Ooh.
And I do want you to continue to add on to this conversation. If you feel like there's something I missed, please feel free to share. Like, because that's one of the reasons why I had you here, Evan. Is just because every time I've had you here, you have dropped so many jewels, so many nuggets,
Praise
so many
God.
pieces of wisdom. And I know you have a busy schedule, but the fact that you
Oh,
sat
no,
down
I
and speak
don't.
to me, oh,
I'm
so
free.
thank you. So I really appreciate
Mhm.
that. I do want to tap into one other thing as we turn the corner in this conversation. As far as what do you think is the scariest things in a man's mind right now, as far as when it comes to stress and anxiety that they don't talk about?
Money.
Why?
When a man's money is not right, he's not right. His mood is off. His thinking is skewed. His body, like everything about a man, is off when his money's not right. I think that honestly, that's one of the best ways for anybody to be able to identify if you're seeing some swift changes in a male that you've known to be consistent, solid, or something like you've known him to show up a certain type of way and he's not. I guarantee you, 7 times out of 10, it may be a financial issue, and men aren't comfortable talking about their finances or sometimes the up, down, the growth, the loss of finance because we're taught from beginning that we are the providers, and we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be providers, and but in that provision, it's like we don't teach men to be better stewards of what we have. We teach them to go make more, but we don't talk to them about being the best steward of that. If I'm, in my opinion, and I think if we switch that conversation or kind of included some stewardship specifically for men, I think it would help us alleviate some of the pressures because honestly, yeah, no, flat out. When his money's messed up, it changes everything about him. And I'm sure you've seen it in like being around men and dating and having brothers and all that kind of stuff. Like you can honestly, I guarantee if you think about this, you can say, you know what? I remember this stint of irrational behavior when he wasn't being himself. You thought it might have been stress. Sometimes people think they got other things going on as far as like other dynamics and relationships. And sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? In their mind, they see a goal, they see an end goal, but where they are right now, that gap sometimes is large and they don't really know how to close it. And sometimes instead of just divulging into new information to close that gap, we instantly go into stress mode, acting crazy, doing wild stuff because in the end of the day, we want to hit that goal. I think that men are some of the biggest goal getters or go getters that exist. I celebrate the Black woman for what the Black woman is accomplishing in this season of life, and it's nowhere near over with. But think about if men were moving with that same level of intensity and tenacity that Black women are moving with in this season. It would change the landscape of not only this country, but our families in our area.
This is a little off topic from the main conversation, but now I have to ask this question.
Yeah.
Okay, Black women, statistically, we are the most educated, high earners,
Mm-hmm.
etc. But why is it that the brothers are not at pace? And then my second question is going back to your initial comment.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed men when their money is off, two things happen. As you mentioned, they become very self-destructive, like
There
a
it is.
self-sabotage, or it's the other extreme, and the ambition is an overdrive.
And nothing else matters.
And there's no middle. It's
Yep.
it's one or the other. It's one or the other.
Well, this is my personal philosophy on why that we see such a large percentage in rising Black women being millionaires. That's really what's happening. It's because Black women are willing to package their pain or package their brilliance, and then B, they're willing to learn from one another. That's why your mentorship groups, your prayer breakfasts, your sister circles, packed, right? And then on the male side, if there are events that look like that, sound like that, they're poorly attended, if they even exist. I'm gonna put myself out there. I have been having this I feel so convicted now. God gave me this concept for this thing called man brain. If you steal it, I pray God don't let you sleep. Where I'm not you, but those who are watching, where I am going to gather a group of men in person and I'm going to show them how to build a successful and sustainable male-centered brand. You got branding boot camps, women are all over them. They're being
I started Good Black Men and I'm a woman. It's for brothers.
And and that right there even shows the gap, like, because a man somewhere was supposed to do that. But because he didn't, and it's time sensitive, God put it on your heart. He said, you know what, she'll do it. And honestly, what'll happen is you'll probably end up shifting that over to the right person, the right male, and he'll take it and do whatever the next leg of it is. But those are my two reasons why I do believe that there is such a gap, is because Black men are not always willing to package their brilliance or deal with their pain to be able to package it for it to be monumental or helpful. But the second part of that is that Black women don't mind learning. Black men have a hard time learning, especially from other men.
Is that the pride thing again?
It's pride, it's ego, it's culture. It is also family.
So okay, I can understand the ego and the pride, but can you break down the culture and the family part?
Got it. So culture says, or culture/family tells a Black man, get out here and figure it out. Hustle, grind, no sleep. All those taglines that we hear, those are all written, stated, and plastered in the world by Black men. No sleep. Why would we tell somebody not to sleep, not realizing that your body needs 6 to 8 hours and it heals itself in the sleep? You also your mind is refreshing your sleep. But we're telling people no grind, all gas, no breaks, no sleep.
And women, we're just like self-care, sis.
Off life.
Vacation.
Y'all going to therapy. Y'all are quitting your jobs and moving to Costa Rica for 6 months. Y'all are learning how to invest. You guys are getting your real estate licenses. You guys are setting up 7 to 10 streams of income. You all are willing to do what you need to do. But guess what? You all are also, all that started because you pursued information at some point.
But we didn't want to because we weren't getting the support from our counterparts.
I can agree with that, but also on the flip side of that, no, the Black woman is ambitious, and she should be.
Again, it's not our choice.
You think that
Evan, I don't want to do all this.
I personally don't agree with you. I personally think that you are a
Celeste. I don't want to do all this.
But I don't agree. I think that part of that is in your DNA, your makeup. You are a multifaceted woman. So you will forever juggle a lot. Now you may not want to, none of us really want to work hard, but when it comes down to who Camille is as a woman, Camille has always been multifaceted.
I have.
Always. Because guess what? As a believer, you are. The dumbest thing I've ever heard is don't be a one-trick pony, or what is it called? Be a master of one thing and not a jack of all trades. It's crazy. No. I am going to be a jack of quite a few trades. I'm going to master a few things. Why am I putting this self-limiting belief system on myself that I can only do this one thing and be a master in one area? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I can master a few areas and spaces. And what's happened is because women naturally know how to juggle, they know how to manage things. And the Bible says the man goes to war, he brings the spoils back and the woman sorts them. You guys know how to do more than one thing. Naturally, it's a part of your DNA. You couldn't change it. So I don't think that wholeheartedly that y'all don't want to quote unquote work hard. I disagree with that. I think that you all want more and you desire your more to come with some conditions that are not heavy and not so per se like I got to do it all on my own, but y'all are ambitious and don't ever turn your ambition down for a man. Make that man level up.
Oh no, we're not doing that.
And honestly, I'll even say this: what happens when a man meets a woman that he starts to fall in love with and he's inspired by, who is ambitious, is awakens something on the inside of him that he didn't even know was already there.
We're nurturers. We'll take anything that you create and say, hey, I have an idea. And we will come with a plan. We'll say, hey, babe, what about this?
73% of millionaires are married.
Talk about it.
There's a reason for that. You know what I'm saying? Like this life is not meant to be done alone.
Purpose partnerships.
Like it's not meant to be done alone on any side. So, but yeah, I definitely disagree with you on that one about you don't want to have, no, it's in you.
I've tried to not really.
Let's unpack that. Let me ask you, why do you not want to move in all of your brilliance and your power?
Not saying that. I think for me, because I've been doing it for so long, super tired. And I know having that that support and that push, I
Uh-huh.
can go further. But I'm in a chapter in my life where I've had to have my own pep rallies, and
I
I've been
understand.
and I'm kind of tired.
I
And
do
it's
understand that, but can I ask you a question? Because
sure.
Superwoman, I do, and Black women for sure are Superwomen, 100 hands down. We'll never be able to take that away from you all. But could it be that Superwoman is tired now because she did certain things for so long without healthy boundaries?
Mm.
Because if certain boundaries in
Go
place,
there. Yes.
if certain boundaries were in place, would you really be as tired as you may feel right now? No.
Unpack it.
At
Unpack
some
it.
point, we've exerted energy in spaces and things that we did not need to. And I know because I do it. I've done it and I'm trying my best. But it's like let's call a spade a spade. We're tired, we're burnt out because at some point in time we have put too much somewhere that we shouldn't have.
I poured into a lot of people and it was not reciprocated.
Boom.
I did.
And sometimes it's your responsibility to pour.
I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it.
And
Because
sometimes it is our responsibility to be the vessel that pours into everybody, right? But that pour eventually at some point, hey, okay, you know what? I'm empty. I'm okay. You guys can be okay for a couple weeks without me. I'm going to go recharge and rest and relax or whatever I need to do to refuel. So I even had to I had to stop playing that boundaries game even with myself because I'm just like you. I will pour into the cup. It's empty. Then I'm like, oh, I'm burnt out. Well, you know what? You know why? Because you did more than what was needed. I overexerted. I did too much. Did what you know what I'm saying? It's okay. It happens. It's when we learn. I think that's how we learn what kind of boundaries need to be put in place in our life. But sometimes it's like, you know what? I could have just stopped there, but I chose to go all the way there.
I'm in my selfish season now.
Me too. So I get it.
And now people are like, she being new and she's being this. And it's like, no, I learned the power of no because I went through a phase of wanting to please and oh, I just want you to like me. And it was almost like coming to America, whatever you like. Like I was, you know, and now I've learned to say no, or I don't have the capacity for that right now.
Yes.
Even if it's putting my phone on D&D the moon at 8:30, I don't care who's texting and calling. Unless they're on fire, somebody died. I'm looking at my phone like, because I need time for me.
Yeah.
And being selfish now, I've found more peace. Even like with the podcasting, incorporating more breaks because it's pouring out. I'm pouring out all the time. And it was like, you know what? Why am I doing this? I don't like, I need a break. If it's me going to cook out and get a milkshake or whatever I want to do, not that I need it, but it's just, what does Camille need right now? What do I need to love on me right now? Is it turning off the TV and getting to worship or reading a book or working on posts or something? But it's all about me right now, and I'm loving it with no apologies.
And that's how I think that we all deserve that selfish season. Because if not, we'll just continue to be in these cycles where we're just going crazy for no reason. And then we don't have to be in that space. So I applaud you taking that selfish season. And one thing that we do know firsthand is that if it's just time off, gotta get whatever they need to get to them, however it needs to get it to them.
Yes. Even like I was in Atlanta this past weekend and just being selfish, I took an additional day just for me, just to give me what I needed. And I didn't realize, Evan, how tired my mind was. And I took a nap.
And now you're preaching to the choir.
When I say that nap thing, it ministers to my soul. And I've learned to listen to my body and my mind. I don't care what's going on. If I need a nap because I'm all day pouring, I'll set an alarm and I'll take a nap. I don't care what time it is. If I'm working remote that day and I'm like, I need a nap, I'm taking a nap, period.
Because you can get them extra 30 minutes on the backhand.
Period.
I applaud that. And I hope that somebody watching this decides to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be a little bit more selfish in this moment in time because you need it. You need it. And it's the thing about it. Everybody else is starting to do it. So why be the person that just continues to press, and you going crazy? And everybody else is like, well, I feel fine. I took my break. Yeah. You could have did the same thing. Yeah. At work, I'm good for they know me. I'm at 3:45, I am in the car. There's no questions asked. Like, if I'm not feeling it, hey guys, I'm using some time today. It's what I'm saying? Because I don't want to go early because of stress. We don't talk about, like we talked about silent killers earlier. Stress is one as well because it affects every part of your body, not just your mind. So it's like I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of it. And get a therapist, guys, if you don't have one, or at least get a life coach. Start somewhere. Just find somebody for you to give what's really going on to.
Good. I do want to bring you back when I start the new season, just because I want to have more segments for the brothers.
Okay.
It's good for our brothers to have a representative and a voice that they can resonate with. And I think you're one of those people. I think you have so much to offer and even more to say. I think we need to dig into it a little more. Because she coming for the kneecaps tonight. I'm like, wait a minute, sir, hold on. It ain't about us tonight. It's about you.
You were about to try to convince me that you were not multifaceted. I'm like, ain't no way. I am not buying that. Nope.
You know what? As a side note, the Lord has been getting onto me. He's like, stop shrinking. That's a whole nother conversation.
How much time we got left?
Because we got 15 more minutes.
That right there that's the problem that a lot of us are facing.
Yes.
It's not a lack of resources. It's not a lack of creativity. We are shrinking. And so therefore, we're not even bold enough to walk in rooms that we were designed for. We were made for that room. But because we have shrunk because of what we see circumstantially, or it's like it's killing. Talk about a silent killer. That is killing us. It's killing our confidence. And one thing about it, you can make more money, but that rebuilding that confidence is the hardest thing I truly believe that's out here. Because like once that momentum, like once you feel that blow, it's kind of like you start looking at yourself different. You start doing things different subconsciously, and you don't even recognize that you have chosen a backseat.
Mm-hmm.
You chose to sit in that backseat, and then we get comfortable there, and it's kind of like, oh my God, and I know I did it. I'm good for acting like oh my God.
Is it fear of rejection?
I actually think it's a fear of change, a fear of success. I don't think as many people are dealing with the fear of failure as they are dealing with the fear of success. Because in order for you to be successful, you have to change. And people are comfortable where they are. Mm-hmm. They don't want to do the work and change requires work. We don't want to do the work. So therefore, we will default to saying, let me just stay in this place. Oh my God, I'm afraid. I got feared. No, you're just afraid of having to grow up. Now, if you really want to have a conversation, we can talk about that because that's really we got to just grow up.
That is so good. Let me rewind. So when I started the podcast, I was in the Navy, but at the time I had my lash brand, Kamiki Mink, and I was doing makeup and lashes at the Stellar Awards. And God had me do a hard pivot out of the beauty space and go into media. And anyone that knows me, I'm an introvert. I'm not talking in front of people. I'm okay behind the scenes. Excuse me. And so when I say it was a fight, Evan, and it was something I didn't want to do, but the more I did it, it was like all those just exposing it, ripping the Band-Aid off. And there were times I would have guests on and I would be fighting back tears because they would say something and I was like, that's me. Or just being in front of the camera, the anxiety, I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
But now here it is, 2.5, 3 years later, I do it. And I'm like, okay, we're doing the podcast. But when I look back in the beginning, I'm just like, the growth. I didn't know like the graphic design, the production, not my background at all. I was a lash girl. This was not my lane. But learning more about digital media and graphic and digital marketing, messed around and even got a degree in master's in communications as a result. But I didn't know this stuff was, and I say it all the time, we're like a package, right? That God makes us to be. And we can't get so stuck on the package. We have to pull out the bubble wrap. We have to pull out tissue paper. And God has so many cool things in us, but we have to dig it out. And that's something I still shrink. And I'm like, but it's not like before when I was like, but I still went, but it's coming down. Mm-hmm. But when I say it's been a journey, and I've met cool people in the process like you. So
who that journey? I want to retweet that because I understand. I think part of the thing that I know I see is a very consistent theme across the board with quite a few of us. We didn't we didn't ask for this. We didn't ask for a mic or for a stage. We actually would much rather not have it. And one of the things that Holy Spirit has always reminded me is that the more you think that you are not the person for it, it's a reminder of why I chose you. Because you don't want it for the wrong motives. You don't want it for the attention. It's kind of like, I'm doing this because you asked me to, and I don't want to get in trouble with you. So let me just do it.
I got voluntold.
Literally,
Yeah.
But the more we do it, the more comfortable we become. And I think most importantly, what's on the inside of us is oozing out, and people feel it. And that's why they connect. That's why they follow. That's why they keep coming back, because we are what the world needs.
Yeah.
But we've got to be comfortable in our skin. So when we're on the world stages, we can deliver and be who we're supposed to be and be what's needed without sometimes any of the other extra fluff and stuff. Like this is for me. That was for me. Thank you.
I think you're a new fan favorite, Ev.
Oh, wow.
Definitely got to bring you back.
Please do.
Of course. Any takeaways or nuggets that you can drop until you return, and then also where people can connect with you on social media.
Absolutely. Connect with me. My name is It's Coach Ev on all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, or just type in Coach Ev and it'll pop up. But if I had to give a takeaway, I would say to the person today, I'll give you an easy one. Just go after it. Don't be the person that allows the world to not have the opportunity to tell you no. Follow me. It's like one of those things where sometimes when we get stuck in procrastination and fear and anxiety, and while we can't do this thing, we are often disqualifying ourselves from a yes that we were going to get. So because you didn't show up, you were not even able to receive the yes that God already predestined for us. So my encouragement is to show up, nervous, palms sweating, armpits sweating, whatever it may be, show up anyway, because oftentimes we think the world's going to give us a no, and the whole time God has already anointed and appointed a yes.
Lord, did you do your job, sir? Did you do your job? Listen, this is why you're coming back. Okay.
Jesus. Thank you.
Yeah. And next time I see you're at church, stay so I can hug your neck. Okay.
I will. I definitely will. But I can't wear my hat. I'll be having to wear dress clothes. I'll be like, Lord, when does dress down Sunday?
We dress down too.
Yeah, the last time I came it was dress down. And I was like, let me slide on.
But even on a regular Sunday, people just wear whatever. And
I enjoy it. It reminds me of home. So it's
churches.
I try to break away from that so bad, but I just can't. It's so
good though.
It's in me.
It is. Yeah. Get what you need. Okay. All right. Well, everyone, I hope you got something from this conversation. I'm Camille, as the host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Hold on, Ev. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Camille.Essick. And if you have not done so already, I'm working to build my YouTube. So go over there right now and subscribe. We are 2 episodes away from wrapping up this season. Angela said yes, anointed for sure. Fake covenant. Be sure to join us on Monday. Pastor Abraham Bellinger is stopping by. He's going to share his journey with us from the streets to the pulpit. And here it's very interesting. So it's a conversation you don't want to miss. And then we're going to wrap up this season on June 13th at 8 o'clock with the amazing Dr. Matisa Wilbin. She just recently did a TED Talk, and she is a boss. She's a minister. She's an author, consultant, educator. She's all things dope. So don't want to miss that conversation. And then we'll be done with the season. So with that being said, be sure to like, comment, share. I would love to hear from you. Again, connect with me online. And you all be blessed. Have a great night. Bye-bye. Y'all, I'm trying to find it. Hold on. I usually have it up, but it's awkward silence. My bad, y'all. Good night.